Hello, hello. Welcome to Meditation Nerd. I hope you're doing well. I'm glad you're here. So, I wanted to bring us back to some obscure meditation facts. Excuse me. I have some heavier meditations that I'm planning for next week, that none of them felt right for the remainder of this one. So, I wanted to share a little something extra. So, what's the one rule every beginner at meditation is taught? What's the first thing that comes to mind when you think about when you first started meditating? Mine is find a quiet place, say for 10 or 20 minutes, then go about your day, right? It's about a specific space, it's a specific area, right? It's kind of sectioned off, right? It's a mat, it's a cushion, it's your chair, but it's got its own room, its own dedicated space, and it's quiet. So, what if I told you that in some traditions, this is just considered a warm up? Yeah, the real goal in these traditions is about taking a vow to meditate for 24 hours straight. Now, that is not just parked on a cushion for 24 hours a day. This is while we're eating, it's walking, it's talking, it's using the bathroom, it's your day to day stuff that you're maintaining your meditative practice throughout for 24 hours. And it's typically practiced on the first Sunday of every month. So today we're going to take a little bit of a deeper look in this practice called Nyinthün. Now, I couldn't actually find a verbal pronunciation, so my sincere apologies if I'm mispronouncing Nyin or Nyan, excuse me, it's Nyinthün, I think. Nyan is day, Thun is meditation or meditation session. Sorry, I tend to converge the two into one. I don't think of meditation session as a separate thing. Meditation is to me a session. So Thun is meditation session. And then Nyan is day. Okay. Now this is called the nonstop meditation, or at least that's what I found, the 24-hour or the 1 day meditation. Okay, so let's set the scene here a little bit, right? Oh, I never realized she had a shadow. Okay. Sorry, I just never paid attention to the fact that my avatar actually has a shadow when she moves her arm. Okay, coming back to setting the scene. Okay, so you've taken a vow. I've taken a vow. From this moment until this same time tomorrow, your meditation, my meditation does not end. So you get up from your cushion, you go make tea. The meditation is happening. You chat with a friend, meditation is still happening. You feel frustration, joy, boredom. The meditation is still happening. You get sidetracked by the shadow that your avatar is throwing when she moves her arm. The meditation is still happening. The goal isn't to be in a trance. It's not what meditation traditionally is about. It's not a trance like state. While it can induce one or it can bring about one or sensations of one, that's not actually the goal. The goal is to make mindfulness so seamless that it becomes the very experience of your life, that that's simply how you are alive, mindfully. This takes the barrier between practice and life and it dissolves it, which to me seems fascinating. So I want you to sit with that for just a moment and I want you to imagine the sheer intensity of that commitment. I mean, can you just imagine the that your awareness is holding everything without switching on and off? That is profound to me. And then just to nerd out a little bit here, it also makes me think of Tanjiro in Demon Slayer when he was working on the meditative breath that I'm blanking on the name of right now. Drop it in the comments if you remember, if you know. But that's what this practice made me think of initially. My hands are cold, bear with me. I'm gonna rub my palms together, even though we won't be doing a traditional tune-in for today. Okay, so then this brings up the question why, right? Why would anyone do this? All of our meditation apps give us 10 minutes of peace, or they promise 5 minutes of anxiety release, etc., etc. Nyinthün is offering something else entirely. It's offering complete integration. This is a direct counterpoint and pushback on the compartmentalized mind, which is, in my opinion, my experience, what meditation actually is when lived, right? Our minds typically want to put things in nice little rows or ducks or boxes or lines or cues, right? This is spiritual, this is mundane. Boom, easy peasy, right? Nyinthün targets the illusion that enlightenment is something you do in a special posture, a special room. Maybe there's an altar, there's a specific ritual. And this isn't to shame any of those things. I'm not putting any of those things down because they do have validity, they do have a place. Of course they do. Nyinthün is a goal to realize that awareness itself is always on. It's just that now we're noticing, right? It's sort of like that experience when you first start meditating and you're becoming more aware of your actual day to day state, right? And it's not necessarily pleasant. So, this is just a way to actively cultivate it within a 24-hour period, which I found incredibly fascinating. Now, I would like to also point out that this history is part of what gets sanitized, right? Along with how meditation has shown up throughout struggles during human history, right? How it saved lives, how it's helped people survive. This part gets sanitized because you can't sell a subscription to nonstop awareness. you can't you can't turn this into a moneymaker, right? It's much easier to sell a discrete, digestible session, little bite sizes, right? And it's much easier to manage a society that sees spirituality as a separate activity rather than a quality of being that infuses every action, especially the ordinary ones. And this made me think while I was putting this together, the outline, what I wanted to make sure I hit on, it made me think of last night when I offered the no agenda, no plan space, shared space. It's because this is what I wanted. I want something that is a lived experience. I want people that practice with me to be able to go beyond and form their own. And this feels much more fulfilling to me, making this the lived experience. So that was kind of a cool realization that I'm I'm doing that with the channel itself, making it the day-to-day experience. So this was just kind of cool to see that, hey, yeah, this is what traditions before me have done. This is actually what has sustained meditation. This is like the foundational aspirations, the foundational teachings of meditation are rooted in, which made me feel really cool and very reassured that what I'm doing is actually helpful and it is aligned with part of the enduring aspect of meditation. So, just to bring that kind of into the focus of what we're talking about here, this practice, the Nyinthün, Okay, let me just check that. Hold on one second. I have it right here. Nyinthün, yeah. Nyinthün. Okay. I hope I'm saying that correctly. I don't mean to be disrespectful if I'm mispronouncing that. Like I said, I couldn't find an oral pronunciation. So this is not just ancient aestheticism. This is not ancient aesthetics. I can't add the ism to it. My teeth will not come around that word. So let's adopt this or adapt this a little bit more for our modern world and the words that I can get my teeth around this evening. There is a direct parallel, right? We know it more as the flow state, or in the zone, right? Athletes completely absorbed in a game, artists completely lost in their work. If you're a reader like myself, you get totally sucked into the book that you're reading. Maybe it's programmers debugging code at 3 a.m., right? It's that thing that we have, maybe your hobby where you sit down and you do it and you're just completely absorbed in it. Next thing you know, hours have gone by, right? It's that state. It's the same principle. It's that seamless present moment awareness where the sense of separation, the you doing a thing falls away. You are simply that thing. There's no more distinction, right? The activity itself is the meditation. And this also brings up a good question that I want you to sit with for a moment. What does it say about us as a society, whether it's local, it's global, okay, however you break that up, right? What does it say about us that we chase this state in our work and our hobbies, but we rarely think about utilizing it while washing dishes, walking, listening to a friend, feeling our own breath, or even just walking room to room. Okay, so this evening we will not be taking a vow for a 24-hour meditative practice. I know a lot of you are disappointed. I know you came here to set yourself up for a 24-hour meditative practice. We can still practice the principle. We can experiment with weaving the thread of continuous awareness through our next few minutes together. So that's what we'll be doing. If you want to do this for 24 hours, feel free to do it. I am not stopping you. I am not saying don't do it. Please let me know how it goes in the comments if you do pursue that. Okay. So let's go ahead and take this fascinating concept and turn it into that personal experiment that we like to do on this channel. Okay. So now you can go ahead and close your eyes. You can soften your gaze. We're going to begin the usual way. We're just going to feel the breath. Okay. So now we're just going to walk through a few very small, ordinary things that we normally do. Your only effort here is to keep the thread of gentle awareness present through the action. Just like when we bring our attention to our breathing, same thing here. Okay. First, and whenever you're ready, if your eyes are open, so the direction I give, whatever you chose, just do the opposite. Okay, so if you just softened your gaze, you're going to do the opposite of that. You're going to close those beautiful eyes. If you closed your eyes, I'm going to guide you through. Okay, so anyone that closed their eyes, go ahead and open them. Again, if you just soften your gaze, go ahead and close them. And just notice the shift from dark to light, or light to dark if you went from softening your gaze to closing. Okay. Notice the colors and shapes that are coming into focus, or the absence of color and shapes if you close your eyes. You can do this slowly, and it's the same attention we give to our breath. And you can go between the two as well. You can close your eyes or open your eyes, soften your gaze, notice the shift between, right? I'm still astounded that she has a shadow on her and that I didn't even notice. Oh, awareness is beautiful. Okay, now we're gonna very deliberately turn our head just a little to the left. And I want you to feel the muscles in your neck. See what's there. That simple action. Now gently turn it back. And we're gonna clear our throat softly, or you can swallow. Same thing here. Feel the internal movement, the sensations. And then finally, let your eyes rest on one object in the room. It can be a cup, it can be a light, a texture on the wall, a window. And for this part, look past the label of cup, light, window. I want you to notice the collection of shape, color, shadow, just for a few seconds. And then from here, gently close your eyes again. Feel the breath. And then I want you to notice if the meditation ever actually stopped. I'm just getting this ginormous sense of joy, indicating that no, it did not, for me, stop. And I want you to think about if we were applying the same quality of attention to different experiences. And just rest here for a moment with that feeling, with awareness itself. Because really, awareness itself is the constant while the objects change. And then just here while you're sitting with your awareness, I wanted to throw something else out that this just made me think of. Byron Katie, for anyone who's familiar, this may sound familiar to you, doubling up on familiar. Anyone that's unaware, Byron Katie is a woman who came up with something called the work. And it's basically a meditative practice where you question your thoughts. You ask yourself 4 questions. Is it true? Can I absolutely know that it's true? Who am I with the thought? Who am I without the thought? Now I'm considerably bringing that down to conciseness. The point I'm bringing her up for is when I was reading one of her books, she was talking about this exact premise where it's through the labeling of the object that there's that barrier that comes up, right? There's that distance. So you see a tree, you label it tree, oak, pine, whatever, right? The second you've given the label is when the awareness of that thing as that thing starts to dissolve, right? And this just reminded me of that a rose by any other name is still a rose. Like Shakespeare, I get it. That makes more sense to me now. I just went to Byron Katie. I just thought that was a fun correlation in a more modern setting. I'm not really a fan of Shakespeare. Sorry to everyone who is. No shade. Just hasn't ever really been my thing. Okay. And then normally I save any additional things that I have. I've been trying to save those to the end just so that the meditation stands on its own. And then anyone that wants to stay to the end, they can hear any additional shout outs that I'm putting there. Before we close this evening with this, because this is very much a part of the meditation, the practice, the tradition itself, I do want to speak directly to the heart of this because it matters. The traditions that we've touched on are Tibetan Buddhisms. Okay, so Nyinthün is from the Tibetan Buddhist tradition. The deep vows of monastic practice, have a hard time with that one too. These are profound living paths. So while that is what I'm bringing to the channel, the lived path, right? This isn't based in any one specific tradition. I'm pulling pieces that I have found from several traditions into one cohesive, functioning meditative practice for myself, and then just sharing that from my position. So, what we've done here tonight is not a replacement, it's more of an invitation to look deeper at the principle, the radical integration of awareness as a lived experience, right? A living path to see how it echoes. Does it echo? Does it resonate? Does this seem like something that sparks intrigue, curiosity? Or is it just like, yeah, that was cool, carrying on? Okay, great. That's also guidance, right? Because this does still have meaning and value in this so called modern, the secular lives as well. So, with that being said, my intention with offering this, it is not to sanitize, it is not to dilute or erase the rich, complex traditions that gave rise to these practices and that have more involved with their traditions, right? There are steps that I didn't include. First of all, because I'm not aware of the totality of the tradition. This was the part that my intuition said, this is the part you need to follow right here, right now. That being said, if what we've discussed resonates with you, I encourage you to seek out the authentic sources. And the authentic sources being the teachers, the communities who hold these lineages, because I am not of these lineages. This, I think, should be shared widely, this practice. And if, like I said, if you decide to go deeper, great. If not, that's also great. Like I said, I just want this conversation to be a, a wide door for as much understanding as is needed for anyone that wants it. This is not to claim that I've built the house, because I haven't. This was an incredible practice that Tibetan Buddhism has a foundation with. So it's they who built the house. I'm just sharing the amazing little bit that I found. The practice here is meant to be a peer based exploration, not necessarily grounded in tradition. Because right now, that's not where my intuition is taking me. That, again, is not to diminish any of the traditions or any of the um, the pathways that come from or lead to tradition. Theirs is one of deep lineage and committed path. Mine is much more the peer-based exploration right now. And both are valid. And hopefully one can inspire reverence for the other, right? So I wanted to share that before bringing us to a solid close because I think that that's important to highlight that, to remind everyone that, again, this is a collective and a lot of these traditions have helped me, have helped guide me through a lot of different aspects of my life. And the parts that still work for me are the ones that I bring together to weave into something new. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and sometimes it's only very specific areas that it will work in. So that was the very tiny experiment and a taste of this vow within a 24-hour period. Obviously, we did, what are we at right now? Okay, we're at 26, so probably like 6 minutes of it, I would say. Most of me was breaking it down. I feel like this Nyinthün is a rebellion against the narrative that mindfulness is a separate task. And I personally rebel against the notion that mindfulness is a separate task. I don't want it to be, honestly. So thank you for exploring it here with me this evening. I'm grateful that you were here. I hope you found some benefits in it. And I hope next time you catch yourself thinking, I need to meditate to find peace, that maybe you'll also remember that you also have the nonstop meditation. Maybe you'll find peace within that and remember that your awareness doesn't ever dissipate. It's always here, just like our breath. It's waiting in the unbroken thread of our attention. And that's through the sacred, the mundane, and everything in between. So, again, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you found this helpful, and I will see you next time.